Well, they got it done eventually. It took time. It was mildly laborious to watch. It was testing. But eventually, Pakistan got it done. They've got 5 out of 5 in the group stage. They've topped the group with 10 points. A resounding win today, winning by 72 runs. They batted first after winning the toss and got 189. A late flourish by former captain and all-time legend Shoaib Malik. Got the fastest 50 ever in a T20I for his country. Got 50 in 18 balls. Of course, Babar Azam, the captain, shepherding the innings, 66 of 47. They got to a mammoth 189. And Scotland, well, they really were never in the game. The only excitement provided in their batting was by Richie Berrington. Got a half century, got 54. He was not out, but his partners on the other side, well, it was a bit of a march past. They kept coming and going. Nobody could get in. Even when they stayed a while, they couldn't get going. So that was the story for Scotland, who finished the tournament with 0 points. No wins at all for them. Just like Bangladesh in the other group, it was Scotland in this. No wins for them. But for Pakistan, it's 5 out of 5. Yep, they go into the semi-finals with a truckload of confidence. Lots of boxes checked. A lot of things done right. This is Cricbuzz Live. I'm Gaurav Kapur, with me Harsha Bhogle and Joy Bhattacharjya. Harsha, safe to say that these guys are going to be riding that high horse of confidence.
You know, when you said former captain, things are changing now, but there are still 2 of those.
Of course there are.
Mohammad
Pakistan
Hafiz
has to.
and Shoaib Malik.
Sir,
so
but it's better than when they used to have 5. It's better than when they used to have 5.
Now they have only 2.
Yeah, now they have
only 2. Hafiz and Shoaib Malik. But yes, I mean, in a game like this, you don't want to be embarrassed. You just want to sail smoothly. And for Pakistan, the pluses were that Shoaib Malik and Hafiz got time in the middle, that the bowlers got a nice workout, 4 overs each. Biggest plus was with the bowling was Shadab, 2 for 14 from 4 overs. For a leggy, just getting to rhythm is important. He hadn't bowled in a match for 6 days, so just getting into rhythm is important. So I think from that point of view, they'll be happy with the way Shadab Khan bowled. His bowling had just dropped off a little over the last couple of years. I once saw him batting at number 4 or 5 in a PSL game. And he wasn't bowling 4 overs. So for him to come back into form and bowl 4 overs is a huge plus for them. Hassan Ali tends to go for a few runs, but it was never a major issue. Teams tend to target him, so he gets wickets as well. So they did most things that could have been asked of them.
Yeah,
they could have. I mean, they could have bowled them out earlier, but it's always difficult to do that in days like this.
That's true. And Scotland just seemed to be sticking in. They seemed to be playing a 50-over game. They said, we're not going to lose any wickets. And, well, they lost only 6, so they weren't all out. But Joy, I think the big thing for them, the big news for them, of course, is Richie Berrington getting that half century. And perhaps one of the few things they're going to take back from this tournament.
Yeah, and look, if you look at it, he's the only guy whose run rate is substantially above 100. He's 145. And everyone else, and I think the next guy there is about 66. So he's done really well for himself. His previous high in this format is 22 in T20 internationals. So this is a this is a breakout innings for him. He's done really well for himself. And it's surprising because if you look at that order, you look at Manse, Kudza, these guys are really well-known players. Lee Scott did well the last time around. You'd expect these guys to do it. Berrington is known as a good player against spin. He's regarded as a player who plays spin very well, but not that he's great across the other formats as well. But I mean, today was his day. He did really well for himself. And he saved Scotland, as I said. This was a bad total, but it wasn't an embarrassing total. This could have been an embarrassing total as well.
Yeah, it could have been. They could have lost by 3 digits or more when a team like Pakistan gets to 189 with that bowling attack. You think they can, but they just kind of stuck around. Like I said, they just stuck around. There was no, this was incident free till Berrington came in and got the only half century for Scotland in the Super 12. So he did that at least. So
I'd like to see some more youngsters coming through there, though. I'd like to see some more youngsters coming through, though, in Scotland, because you look at all these key players, whether it's Kudza, whether it's Muncy, whether it's McLeod, who didn't play today, whether it's Berrington, they're all in their 30s now. So at some point, you'll suddenly find 4 or 5, like it happened with Ireland, when suddenly Niall O'Brien, Porterfield, Trent Johnston, Boyd Rankin, all of them suddenly went away, and they didn't have the next gen coming through. Mooney, they had all these seamers, right? Remember John Mooney and
Mooney, yes.
All these guys suddenly went away. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another Mooney who's creating waves. Only her name is Beth, and she's Australia's opener. She's creating waves as a batsman, as a batter.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Correct, as a batter. Or they could do what Pakistan has done today, which is go for youth not in the 20s but in their 40s. And one of
40s.
them, got the quickest 50 for Pakistan in the history of T20 Ice today, and that was Shoaib Malik. So that's been the game for them. I think, Joy, your closing thoughts on Pakistan in this group stage? They've just completely been all over it. They've been all over the other teams like a rash.
Look, I loved the way they played, and I think they played brilliant cricket throughout. I still worry because I feel that middle order has not been tested against real good quality fast bowling, okay, which they is going to face against Australia. So that's the one thing that you worry about. You think about that and say that if Australia is going to bowl that sort of half length out here, are Shoaib Malik and Mohammad Hafiz, the likes of them, going to find it easy? And that's something that you can't do anything about, because if the bowlers who are going to bowl at you right now are bowling at 120, you are going to whack it. So it's not a problem that they could have solved at this stage, but every box that they could tick, they've ticked.
Yep.
And
Now it's
some
up
that
to
I
how
didn't
they
think
do
they
consistent.
would. Yeah.
Yeah.
And some that I didn't think they would. There was a reason I had them in my top three at the start. I got two right, one wrong. I had India, England, and Pakistan as my top three teams at this tournament. Simply because when you play in Sharjah, especially Sharjah, when you're playing Dubai, Abu Dhabi, you're playing 150, 160 kind of games, it suits their batting perfectly. And because they have five bowlers, two all-rounders, the two spinners come into play, these tracks are almost made for them.
Yeah.
So sometimes you see events conspiring to come in your favor. And that is what started to happen when the tournament moved here. I still believe when England and New Zealand didn't go to Pakistan, it allowed them a lot more time together, allowed them to look at other players, play a lot more cricket. So a lot of things started to come together. They got some good players back in. Shoaib Malik was not in the side, if you remember. Original side, there was no Shoaib Malik. He came in as a replacement. So they got the experience back in. They got Fakhar Zaman in. He's had a quiet tournament, but he's a good player. So a lot of things started to happen. And then you start to say, okay, are they likely to play England in the final? I know Australia is a tough semi-final opponent. There's no Jason Roy there. Is it just starting to happen? Everything's starting to fall together for them. But from this game's point of view, they really just ticked all the boxes. They would have liked Fakhar Zaman to get a 30-35 today. But
Yeah, that didn't happen, but you're right. I mean, you can't tick every box before going into the semi-final, but they're going in with the most pluses. Remember, England goes in with a lot of pluses of form, but now suddenly a lot of minuses in terms of injury. They've lost Tyrone Mills. Have they lost Jason Roy? Pretty much the way he hobbled off. Don't think he's going to play the semi-final. And they do play the first semi-final. England play New Zealand, which is on Wednesday the 10th. That game happens at Abu Dhabi. And then the second semi-final is played Pakistan v Australia. That's in Dubai on the 11th. Well, anyway, there's, of course, one India game to be played in between that as well. And that happens tomorrow. That's right. India playing Namibia tomorrow. Would have hoped that it wouldn't have come down to this. Yeah, you would hope that, there was still something to play for in that last game and India could make it to the semi-final, but that's not how the cookie has crumbled. It is India playing Namibia tomorrow in a match which is, well, inconsequential. It's a dead rubber. It's done. So what you can do is some players can just come out, have some fun. Perhaps if you just look at the squad and see the players who haven't got a chance so far to play, Joy, you'd like a few of them also to maybe then just get a chance. Why not, right?
No, everybody should get a chance. Against Namibia, everyone should get a chance because really, this is the match. It's also a farewell to Ravi Shastri. I mean, Ravi's been a fantastic coach for the Indian team for all these years. We know Virat will continue to play, not as captain maybe, but in other formats. He's just said he's not going to be captain of the T20 side. But there is an opportunity here to just say thank you to all your fans. And India has some fantastic fans. There are fans and they are fans, but 99% of our fans are fantastic, great lovers of the game. And let's just give them a really good performance. And I think that performance, each of the 15 guys in our team can give it to them. So I'd make sure that Rahul Chair, everyone who hasn't played, also plays tomorrow.
I think just Chair. I think Chair is the only one who's not got a game. Everybody else has.
Ishan
has played a game.
I think
played a game.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Chair is the only one. So you'd want to get Ishan in, Chair in as well. You'd get
I'd get Bhuvi back. I'd get Bhuvi for Shami.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Yeah, it's a fair call. Look, they're on a hiding to nothing. If they go out and have an ordinary match, people will say, "Kya ye aise khel gaye." If they go and have a great match, they'll do usme kya badi baat hai, you went and scored runs against Namibia. So they're not hiding to nothing. So but still they've got to come out and say, you know what, India's got fans. I know it's only Namibia. Hang on, but Namibia have been the best of the teams that came through the qualifiers. So let's take this game seriously. But also let's tell our fans that even when the game is over, we still play the game 100% because we're not just playing it for ourselves. We're playing for the sponsors. We're playing for the fans. We're playing for everybody. We'll put on a show for you tomorrow.
Yeah, they would have been disappointed today in the evening after, New Zealand defeated Afghanistan and picked up the second qualifying spot.
I think they forfeited the right to be disappointed. You'll be disappointed at one level, yes. Yeah, at one level you will be disappointed because hope would have sprung anew, saying maybe this is what will happen.
You may know that what reality is, but the moment when it strikes you, right? I guess at that point in time, you got to feel it. It just makes it real, right? It makes the reality real, so to speak.
And they would have experienced a wave of emotions when Afghanistan won the toss. They said yes. When the two wickets fell early on, when Shehzad and Zazai were out, and then when Rahmanullah Gurbaz got out, I think that is when they would have realized that ye nahi hone wala hai. Chalo, kal ka soche.
Exactly. But the best way to kind of ride over disappointment and ride over whatever sluggishness you're feeling inside your heart and mind, Joy, is to come out and just really, really enjoy the game tomorrow and really dominate it completely.
Yeah, they have to give them, to be fair to them, the last two games they've dominated. They've not just won, they've dominated. They've dominated in a way which shows that this was a side that had a huge amount of promise. There were two really bad days at the office, and they were really bad days. And you have to say the second day is worse than the first, because the first day can happen to anyone. The second day, the pressure just got to them and nobody could break out of it. But look, now at this point in time, they have to play for the fans. They have to play for their pride. And they have to play, let's be honest, for Ravi Shastri as well. Because for whatever he's been a fantastic coach for India.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Ravi a bit, because Ravi ends up getting, a lot of flack when it comes to memes and GIFs and stuff, right? Because he's just that kind of character. He's the kind of character who it's water of a duck's back. He's got a thick skin. You can poke a joke at him. He doesn't really care. But let's talk about the virtues of Ravi and all kind of the plus qualities. Because Harsha, you worked with him so much. I've worked with him so much. There's one thing that guy can do is that he can make, he can make a pole believe that it's a tree.
And that is how he was as a player.
Yeah.
And that's how he was as a broadcaster. Always backing himself. And to some extent, he would have got the players to feel that way too. He would have liked to have completed that series win in England. And he would have liked to have won a series in South Africa in 2018.
Yeah.
Maybe an ICC trophy. But, at the end, you do your own little balance sheet and you say, did I take the team where I wanted it to go? In Test cricket, yes, it definitely went where he wanted it to go. So I think he can look back and say, I had 4 years now and 1 year before that in the job, and we did all right. And now it's over to somebody. I'm going to be 60 next year. Let me have a ball. Let me sit back. I don't know if he wants to be coach of a franchise side, because there's a lot of accountability. There's a lot of planning, thinking. But I think a franchise side might suit him perfectly. Because it's 2.5 months.
Yeah.
Birdie, golf.
I'm saying little birdies are saying that Ahmedabad, the new franchise, may be interested.
Little birdies are saying Ahmedabad.
Yeah.
But whether or not it happens, it's a very natural choice. He knows the players. So that'll be interesting. But I think you can say with Ravi now that once you turn 60, you're not going to come back into an active role in Indian cricket. So he's probably... He's had a playing role. He's had a broadcasting role. He'll come back to the broadcasting role without doubt at all. And he's had he's had a coaching role. He's done everything that anyone could have in Indian cricket, apart from being board president.
Yeah,
or board secretary or whatever.
Yeah, an administrative role. Yeah,
anything in the board. Sorry.
Yeah, an administrative role. But Joy, that is you've got to give. I mean, that's a testament to just his sense of belief. The way he backs himself, as Harsha puts it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone who in 1985, with that galaxy of stars, became the champion of champions on the basis of 2 shots and some tight left arm spin, you have got to back him, because he always backed himself, even when he had that little. And he's given something to this Indian team. He stood there and rolled with the punches, and enough punches have been thrown. And he's managed to throw a few back himself. And I think Harsha's got it bang on. I think that test record is something to be proud of. He'd look at that ICC record and say that perhaps that's where we fell short a bit. The big tournaments is where we fell short, and I think we had the talent to do a little bit better than that, and it didn't work out for whatever reasons. It didn't, but
Yeah.
I think what he's done in Test cricket for India has been truly exemplary, and there's a core now there, which this Indian fast bowling attack, you know, one of it is circumstance of all these guys coming together at the right time, but it's also been him backing them, and truly that's one of the legacies, because I can't say the batting is his legacy because most of it was in place before he came, but that fast bowling attack of India today is truly his legacy.
Great. And that hands over to a person it's chalk and cheese, right? There's one person so above the radar, flying bright and beautiful, and there's one just below the radar, so it's calm and silent and quiet. It's like an avalanche to the ocean, right? To the deep ocean. It's two completely different approaches. And you know that there's going to be a handover of captaincy in this format, right? It's the shortest format, it's the least played format. But Virat obviously continues to be captain of white ball and the test team. And I'm guessing that Virat would, just a guess, I have no knowledge, I've not spoken to him about it. My guess is that he would want to go up till the 2023 50 over World Cup, right? Because he'd be burning for an ICC trophy himself as well. He'd want to captain till the next cycle of the Test Championship, perhaps. But it'll be an adjustment for him as well. I mean, he's played with Rahul, but it'll be an adjustment for Virat as well, for the captain, to go from a Ravi style to a Rahul style.
Yeah, but having known Rahul, I can vouch for the fact that Rahul will not come in the way. If there is a conflict, and I hope there isn't one, because these are two very, very proud players, but there was a conflict with Anil, for example. So you don't know. But if there is a conflict, Rahul will understand that this is a captain's team first, and that the coach is part of the support staff. The coach's job is to prepare the team, not to take the team out into the middle. So if there is a conflict, Rahul will very quickly understand that. And I have no doubt at all that Rahul will say, right, this is my point of view, but captain, this is your team. What Rahul will be very good at is preparing the players and talking to them. And I only hope that his perception and view of the team is pretty much the same as Virat's view of the team. When we are talking Test cricket, where there's no threat to his position, as long as they can agree on that, as long as they agree that I think this player's got a future, this player's got a future, these are his strengths, this is how we play this person. Beyond that, I think they'll be absolutely fine.
Interesting. But the next T20 I captain, Joy, in your book, who have you got? Have you got Rohit as well? I've got Rohit. Have you got Rohit?
No, you've got to have Rohit. You've got to have Rohit. 5 championships, 5 titles, for whatever it's worth. And I don't buy this, belief that, go to the next guy because then he can have a 5-year run. First and foremost, I still feel Rohit has maybe at least 2-3 years of good cricket in him, if not 4-5 years of good cricket. It's all a matter of fitness. But the kind of player he is, he's not a fast bowler that he needs to be, super fit and gym fit all the time.
Right.
I mean,
he's an artist.
Exactly. And, if he can bat the way he bats. Look, and I believe that he has the calmness. Most importantly, what I believe is he came into, especially the test side, tough. 2007, he's in, he thinks he's a prospect, but he gets in 5 years later, 6 years later. So he's done the hard yards. And therefore, he will relish this captaincy a lot. He will relish it. He'll do it justice because he's getting it at the right time in his life. And I think he has that maturity that he's secure about himself. If you're secure about yourself, that's the biggest thing as a captain, is when you're secure about yourself, because then your side never feels that they're threatening you and therefore you're not backing them. Yeah. I think they'll get along absolutely fine. And I think, again, I go back to even Virat and Rahul. And Virat's great capacity, people say it's his, as a batsman, as a, whatever he is, what he's done, as somebody very fit. I think Virat's greatest capacity is none of those. It's his ability to change. It's his ability to change the way he looked at life as somebody, as a West Delhi kid, under-19 brash kid playing cricket, to being captain of the India under-19, to being a test cricketer, to being a captain of India. And every time I've seen him, he's refined. He's changed. Yeah. He's looked at himself and said, you know what? I can change this. I can make this better. I thought of like this 6 months back, but now I realize that's not the way. And that's Virat's superpower. And I think Rahul and he therefore will always melt, because he's always the kind of guy who look at what Rahul says and says, you know what, this guy might have a point. Let me think about it that way. It'll work. I believe it'll work.
Interesting.
As of now, it's a relatively minor role. As of now, you're captain of the T20 side only. You don't play a lot of T20 internationals. So there'll be 3 games against New Zealand now. I'm not sure whether I switched off. I don't know if there's T20 internationals in South Africa. There'll be a few there. And then when you come back,
at it and tell you right
there
now.
are 3 games. I'll tell you where it's going to be tricky. The West Indies come to India in February to play 6 games, 3 T20s, 3 ODIs.
Yes.
Are you going to have different captains for T20, different captain for ODI? One day Rohit is going out, one day Virat is going out. So I think they'll need some clarity and some discussion there on what each of them is doing between T20 and ODI cricket. And then after that, there's the IPL. After the IPL, you play a couple of tournaments and straight away you're in Australia for the T20 World Cup. It's closer than you think.
Correct. It's not even 12 months from the finish of this. So as you said, there's the 3 T20s that are going to be played right now against New Zealand. Then there's the test matches against South Africa. There's 3 ODIs and 3 T20s. 4 T20s. 4 T20s. That's weird. All right. The 4 T20s have to be played in South Africa. So that's interesting. You come back, you play 3 ODIs against West Indies, and then you play 3 T20s. So you're just like, you're waking up in the morning.
And then Sri Lanka come to India. Hang on, the Sri Lanka come to India and play 2 tests and 3 T20s.
They play 2 tests and then they play 3 T20s. And after that, we have gone, then we're jumping. Then we're South Africa's tour of India. Oh, we've gone way ahead then. I've gone 2022.
Because remember, last time South Africa came to India, they had to play 3 T20s. The first one in Dharamshala was washed out. By the time we landed in Lucknow, COVID had been called off.
It had happened. It had happened. Yes. So also right after the IPL in June, South Africa comes to India, where again 3 T20s are played.
That's it.
And 5 T20s.
Achha, by the way, if you're reading India's schedule, please tell me you're reading volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, or volume 4. Because otherwise you'll be reading the schedule for the next 20 minutes. It never stops.
I've got to the end of the page on Cricbuzz. Actually, it ends after the England series. So obviously, the scheduling person at Cricbuzz has said that the world is ending next year, right after the Test match is done. That's it.
No, because they won't.
You thought the World Cup is closer than you think. I think the apocalypse is even closer. It's coming. Stock up your bunkers. It don't matter. Will we? But before we go, will we have? We'll probably end up having, the way these guys are playing, will we end up having, will red ball and white ball teams become completely distinct?
We're starting to see that.
Yeah.
In India, we've got what now?
Well, listen, we had. So I was just saying, we were at 7 people in, I think, game 1 and game 2. We had 7 people who had played a test match in England who were playing in this game. 7 or 8, right? So that's a heavy overlap. That's a heavy overlap. Do you see ever at a time what happened with the Sri Lanka tour, where Shikhar took a team, and then there was one team that was playing tests in England? Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised for a couple of reasons. One is it allows you to stretch the calendar.
Yeah.
It allows you to play one tournament till 15th of one series till 15th of a date and start the next series 17th of the date. So you're playing much more, and then they'll have to rest people. So you'll see more and more of that. You could see. I'm not saying I hope it happens, but you could see more and more of that. But to the earlier one, look at the England team at the moment when they're playing at full strength. Right? Yeah. David Malan's only just come back to the test side. Otherwise, you had Jason Roy, only white ball. David Malan, only white ball. Bairstow off and on when he was not taking the dog for a walk. He was playing test match cricket. Owen Morgan, Liam Livingstone, now Moeen Ali, Chris Jordan. So England have gone into, and even Adil Rashid, England have gone completely into a white ball squad. Sam Billings. So
absolutely.
I won't be surprised. I won't be surprised if India starts to go there.
Yeah, the Ashes team left for Australia 3 days. They've landed in Australia already. The Ashes team is in Australia while they're going to probably be playing the final of a T20 World Cup. So that's already happened. And I think I was on air the other day with Dinesh and Zach. We were doing Cricbuzz Live had a DK, GK, ZK special. And one of them made a point to this was that we also must be cognizant of the fact that actually the audiences for both forms of cricket are completely different now. Like people are watching red ball cricket and people are watching white ball cricket are quite distinctly different from each other. So you have different teams, you have matches happening, you have a test match happening, the day it finishes, the next day there's a white ball game with a different team playing it. that could be I know this all seems kind of outlandish right now, but think about it. If you just stop for a second and, take the purist hat off and think about it for a second, this could be reality sooner than we think, with this pandemic kind of aiding the move towards that. So that could happen. But hey,
you can play
if you're
pure
a
T20
fan-
cricket as well.
Yeah,
You can play pure T20 cricket as well.
Yeah, if
Pure
you're
cricket,
cricket
yeah,
fans,
yeah.
I mean,
Test match
yeah, I
cricket.
mean, my whole point about this is saying that a marathon is necessarily a better event than a sprint. Why? There's no particular reason to judge that a marathon is better because you run it over, 26 kilometers, 40 kilometers, 26 miles.
Yeah.
I mean, my point is that there are skills involved in both. The skills are different. That doesn't mean that one skill is necessarily better than the other. And see, my belief is this, that the financial money of cricket right now lies in India. 85 to 90% of the world's money in cricket is in India. And that's not going to change for the next maybe 10, 15 years.
it will become higher.
Yeah. But my point is, till then, everyone will want a piece of India. Okay.
Yeah.
Which means that you are going to see more of these Sri Lanka kind of tours while England is still on and other tours were still on, because any piece of India is important. I mean, I can tell you one thing. Unmukh Chand is a good player. Okay. But the fact that he's been signed on for the Big Bash League, one of the reasons is to have an India player signed on in the Big Bash League.
It's
is
a tough
huge
one.
factor.
Yeah.
Did you say
It's
Big
a
Lash
huge
Peak?
factor. Yeah,
Big
Big
Lash
Lash
Peak.
Peak is.
Salash Big Peak. So
Big
Premier League,
Lash.
Premier League.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
listen,
I mean, you can see that. Yeah, you can see that's happened because,
yeah, you're absolutely right. It's and you're talking about numbers, and you're talking about the numbers being so high. The fact is, you could see the way America does the World Series, right? It's just them playing. It's nobody else. Maybe a couple of teams from Canada, but the World Series of baseball happens there. Whether it's NFL, whether it's the NBA, just like that, cricket has become to India what those sports are to the US. It's become a big market, a self-sustaining market. You have 10 teams now in the IPL. You could see franchise cricket growing even more. And all these things could just coexist. I think they can completely coexist, Harsha. They really can.
I think Test cricket could shrink, and in shrinking, it could become stronger, because it will then be restricted to a group of people who genuinely want to play it and genuinely want to watch it.
Yeah.
And I hope as a result, the viewership grows, because at the moment, there's a lot of people saying they watch, but they're not actually watching. They're following the scores. They know what's happened, and they will tune in as and when the scores tell you that something is happening. Otherwise, they're following the scores on Cricbuzz. They're not actually watching the game. As soon as something exciting happens, they'll try to go and watch the game. So if you start to have fewer series, which are more, I mean, what India, Australia did 2020-21 was one of the best things that happened to a minus 20-year-old generation, because it suddenly told them, you know what, there's nuances and layers to the sport that you love. And wow, here it is, a team that can go into a test match with 11 wickets in its bag can actually win with bravery. So bravery as an aspect suddenly got introduced to a lot of people. So I hope that happens, but I won't be surprised. Just to come back to the original topic, I won't be surprised if you have more and more of these different teams. It'll allow a lot more people to play. It'll allow you to space out workloads. So I foresee that happening a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but can I tell you
Also,
something?
just to add to that, if you play 25 to 30 days of Test cricket a year, if India plays 25 to 30 days of Test cricket a year, there are people to follow it. If India starts playing 60 to 65 days of Test cricket a year, it just becomes difficult, because you don't have that kind of. So you need to anticipate, you need to look forward. But unfortunately, also what that means is a Pakistan game, Australia game, an England game, maybe South Africa. Those series will be followed very closely. You're not going to get a huge amount of crowd for India, Sri Lanka, or in India Zimbabwe Test series. So that's
The
going
60
to
are playing. At the moment, they're playing 60 days. 65 days, because they're playing 12-13 tests a year.
Yeah.
12 to 13 tests. And I think India has taken on this kind of responsibility. That will be Virat's legacy, to say, no, we like test match cricket and we will play test match cricket. And to be fair, India is scheduling a lot of test match cricket. Your point will come in if there are diminishing returns. That's not as much an issue for India as it is for who you're playing against.
Correct.
So if India is playing Sri Lanka, Sri
Absolutely.
Lanka is very happy.
Yep.
And for India, luckily, with the IPL, this diminishing financial returns is not such a factor.
Yeah.
So I think it will stay safe in India. The problems will be around us, in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka, in the West Indies, and definitely in South Africa.
Harsha, though, I want to say that Joy had made a reference to a sprint and a marathon, but can I tell you what his favorite is? His favorite discipline is steeplechase. Yeah? And Joy knows
I love
exactly
it.
why I'm saying. Joy knows exactly why I'm saying steeplechase, because that came. Have you told Harsha the story? Tell him, please tell.
No, I
Tell
have
people.
to tell you. So, we are trying to do an under 17 World Cup, and it's 5 days before the tournament. So we are fully prepared, and we are all in there. And there are channels who go out there who just try and create mischief. So their only job is to turn around and say, we are not prepared. And everyone's been told that, like the 2010 Commonwealth Games, this must be corrupt. These people must have got it wrong. So they managed to sneak in a camera into the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium. And it's spick and span, but they've got to figure out some story. So suddenly they see in the track around the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium, the football in the middle, but there's a track around it. There's a steeplechase obstacle. Okay. And therefore that steeplechase obstacle is right down there. And they shoot that and they put it on their televisions. They say, huge gap in this thing, in the overground around it. Preparation is there. What is this? There are huge gaps in the ground. How can this happen 5 days before a tournament? And somebody turned around and said, that's actually a steeplechase obstacle. So I will not mention the kind of people who make stories like that. But as you know, Harsha, they're plenty.
No, I think you should name and shame. I think you should name and shame on Twitter. Just do it. We're there with you. We should retweet and support you. We'll See, the three of us know Twitter really well. Just don't get us three started about Instagram, because that's where we fail, right? We can't do that. But Twitter,
Why?
yeah.
Reels is 60 seconds. The moment you go to Reels, there'll be a thing that says 15. You press 15, it becomes 30. You press 30, it becomes 60.
Wow, amazing. And stories?
You only
syllabus
go to
many
15
times.
seconds.
15
There's
seconds.
no, it's not the
Revision.
syllabus.
Revision. We are revising. Just revision for all of you as well. I know you don't need to revise this, but I'll tell you anyway. India is playing Namibia tomorrow. That's the game that's happening. It's just the one game. So come in the evening. It's Monday, I know. So no matter what you do, you're going to be in a horrible mood by 6 p.m. So then you come and then you sit in front of your screen at 7. And we're going to be here in Hindi and in English, right? And we're going to have some fun. No, 6:50, right? 6:50 or 7? When are we coming? 6:50. That's right. India game. So we're going to be there 10 minutes before the toss. We'll chit chat. We'll have some fun. We'll talk about cricket. Hey, listen, what's not to like? Your Monday will come so much better. And then, of course, the game will finish, and you'll be reminded that India's not playing the semi-final, that you'll be in the bad mood again. But then that's not going to be on us. Then your boss's responsibility after that. All right. Right now, your Joy's responsibility, because he asks all these deadly questions, and then it's his responsibility to give us the answer and put us out of our misery. So let's have a look. See the question first.
Low full toss outside off.
Yeah, low full side outside off. This international cricketer made his test debut in Indian city, which he later represented in a professional league, and gets his nickname from his fluency in a language. Name the cricketer. And Harsha, I know you got this spot on the first time.
Yeah.
And you were commentating on the match as well.
Zulu, right?
I was. So,
who's it?
Might as well give the answer, then I'll tell you.
Yeah. Lance Klusener, of course. This is Lance
Zulu.
Klusener, and of course,
yeah,
absolutely. And Eden Gardens, and of course, the only tricky part of it was he played for the Kolkata Tigers. That's the only tricky part of it.
Yeah.
So,
the language
so I'll tell you, as soon as I saw it, Joy, I said, I think it's Lance Klusener, Zulu. So I've actually Googled Klusener KKR. Did he come in and play one season KKR somewhere? I think Klusener KKR, that might have been a little too late for him. But I said, see, Klusener Zulu is bound to be. And then I found that someone had given the answer. He was in the ICL, which was a fantastic tournament for those that wanted to be and those that were. So
yeah, I just went with Zulu. I did not even try to do the math. I said, if I know one part of the answer question, I'm going to double down on the answer with that, and that's what I'm going to stick with. I didn't even try to decode the Calcutta bit, but
the biggest
Zulu,
clue,
of course.
The biggest clue is Joy's questions always are linked to somebody who is playing a role today,
Topical.
on the day.
Correct. Yeah.
Afghanistan, because the coach of Afghanistan, that just made it a lot easier.
Yeah. So well done, Joy. Well done with the easy question. Things are tough anywhere in the world these days. So an easy joy factor question is a joy to behold. But somebody it's more joyous than for others is the first person who got the correct answer in. Who it be? Please tell us. Anirudh, who has put his Aadhaar card number afterwards.
I'm trying to figure out what that number means.
I think
Got a
it
lot
means
of-
that he was. I don't know. Is it? It can't be. It's 8 digits, so it can't be a mobile number. It can't be a PAN card. It can't be a date of
Date
birth.
of birth.
Yeah,
Because the first two are
it-
41.
correct. So it would have to be the 4th
41186 is a possibility. 41186 is a possibility. And 925 are the
41186.
last three digits of his first hall ticket number.
or
Anyone has
or
hall
nine.
ticket number still?
I don't know.
This is a
I
good
think they just have barcodes now. I think they have barcodes to enter
T225/009.
exams.
Sir, my 10th standard hall ticket number was T225/009
Sir,
and
that's
12th
amazing.
standard was B204/010.
Sir, I tell you, I would have also remembered my 12th card hall pass, 12th class hall pass number if I had taken my 12th class exams. I would have remembered it. But since it's a bit
Nice.
like
Why I
Afghanistan
remembered
and New Zealand playing a T20I before today. Nothing. Not
I
there
remembered
only.
it because I have
No
an
records.
extraordinary ability to remember the unnecessary.
Yeah, that is quite amazing,
Don't,
including songs.
Harsha, don't get into
Yeah,
my
yeah.
territory. That's all I do. Remember the unnecessary.
Yeah, that's right. And me, I can't even remember the necessary. So it's a good combination here. It's a good team. Well, that's it. We are done. We're done. It's time to wrap it up. A big thank you to Mr. Harsha Bhogle and Mr. Joy Bhattacharya. Thank you so much, gentlemen. It was wasn't the brightest day of cricket, but it's always bright and fun when you guys are in the house. So thank you so much for being here. You made this dental procedure quite pleasant. So thank you so much for making my
At least
root
you're being
canal
honest.
enjoyable.
At least you're not trying to say, actually, it was a great day. No, it wasn't. It was one of those days. So.
It was as you said in the com box, like watching paint dry, and how I said that sometimes watching paint dry means that you can smell the fumes and at least enjoy yourself a bit. Today was worse than that as well. Well, okay, that's it. We're done. We're going to see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching Cricbuzz Live. I'm Gaurav Kapur saying good night to all of you. It's Monday. Kya kar rahe ho? So jao yaar. Go to sleep. Good night. Bye. Bye. Good night. Not working.